Florida McDonald's is paying people $50 just to show up for a job interview, and it's still struggling to find applicants. This comes from BusinessInsider.com, Australia, so you know it's legit. I don't know why. I think that's Australia. AU? That would be Australia, right? I don't know. Who cares? Blake Casper, the franchisee who owns the restaurant, told Insider that a general manager and supervisor came up with the idea for the interview reward after he told them, do whatever you need to do to hire workers. We are struggling so bad, even as McDonald's. Do anything that you can possibly do to get people to come take our shitty jobs. And even if you have to pay them just for showing up. At this point, if we can't keep our drive-thrus moving, I'll pay $50 for an interview, said Casper, who owns 60 McDonald's restaurants in the Tampa, Florida area. How can you not? You're McDonald's. Why all of a sudden, like, this is where kids go right after high school, right? Are the kids getting more entitled where they are opposed to flipping burgers? I worked at a McDonald's for 3 years at the end of and right after high school, which helped pay for lots of things, like my cars, my living. I guess I was still living at home, but it afforded me the ability to get married at a young age too, which is nice. I'm not sure if I'd recommend getting married that young, but, you know, it's working out. The reopening of businesses across the U.S. that are looking to hire, along with enhanced employment benefits, has cut into the number of applicants, according to Casper. So they're saying better jobs are coming open, and oh, boo-hoo, the poor monopoly that was kept open during the pandemic when all the mom-and-pop shops are closed. They are the ones struggling now because all these, gosh darn it, mom-and-pop shops are not starving anymore. Wah. At the same time, Casper said McDonald's businesses, you know who wouldn't be able to afford to pay $50 for you to show up to an interview? The fucking mom and pop shops. Yeah. At the same time, Casper said McDonald's business is booming thanks to the successful launch of the chicken sandwich. Is the chicken sandwich a new thing at McDonald's? Or did they just repackage their chicken sandwich again? And customers spending more freely post-stimulus check. Thank you, stimulus check, for helping out poor old McDonald's. You've got a lot of people with a lot of money, and they're out there shopping, he added. You got a lot of people with a lot of money, and they're out there shopping. I'm not sure why I did that voice. It just seemed right. And then, on the flip side, we're scrambling for help. Casper said that, to his surprise, offering people $50 simply to come in for an interview still has not convinced many people to apply for jobs. He has found more success with referral programs, signing bonuses, and allowing people to apply via text message. God, we're getting lazy. We are getting so lazy. You won't even walk your ass to the McDonald's, sit there for a half an hour and make $50? Man, we deserve the collapse at this point, I'd say. Last week alone, his 60 restaurants hired 115 new workers. The labor shortage is also forcing Casper and other franchises to raise wages. There's a problem. Casper said he is considering raising starting wages from $12 to $3 above Florida's minimum wage, which is $3 above Florida's minimum wage, to $13 in an effort to attract more employees. Now, if you're not familiar, my stance on the minimum wage is that it's fucking bullshit. It helps nobody. It only harms people because as you force businesses to only pay, like you can't hire somebody underneath a certain wage, then you're just forcing mom and pop shops to hire fewer people. You're forcing even McDonald's to hire fewer people. You're forcing automation to take over these jobs, which I'm not saying is necessarily a problem either. If automation does the job better than a 15-year-old who can't even be bothered to get out of bed to make $50 showing up for an interview, then so fucking be it. But when you're exiting the school field of high school and you're looking for a job with zero experience and zero talents and zero skills acquired yet in your life, one would think that it would make it easier for you to get a job of any sort if these businesses were able to hire on unpaid interns or lower wage interns. I would have somebody working for me right now, probably button pushing for me and fading out my intro music, if not for this type of thing where you have to pay. I'm not going to pay an intern, $15 to pull a fader down every now and then when I feel like it, or push a button. But I would be interested, speaking of which, if you're interested in doing an internship of some sort under the table, we can talk. But I'm not going to pay you $15 an hour just to pull a fader down. If somebody were like, hey, I would, for like, say, $5 an hour, I would like to get some experience for my resume saying that I worked on a podcast or worked on a radio show or whatever and worked in broadcasting or worked in marketing. That is invaluable content that you can use on your resume for the rest of your life. And it looks way better than it is even, but it's got more value to you than getting another $5 or $10 an hour is going to be. And I've done my share of intern work as well. I worked for a business doing audio production. And before I started working and running the studio, I started out at the lowly intern level of you come and you learn for free. You get basically your college education in the field that you're interested in. You save years and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You get that information, and that's on your resume. And then you can even work your way up in that business, which I did. And then I took all that information that I learned hustling, and I came and did this, where I make even less money. So reading on. The biggest challenge out there is the federal government and the state government are going to continue with this unemployment, because that is truly creating the incentive to not work right now. Exactly. Like, you're giving out money. In the federal government is saying that that you are worth at least $15 an hour, even if you're not doing anything of value. You're just making a population of people who feel like they're worth more than they are. Now, don't get me wrong. You have intrinsic value. You are worth more than $15 an hour. But until you are able to explore and discover that value and learn and unlock the inner value within you, yes, I'm going hippy-dippy with this, but until you're able to obtain that knowledge, you aren't giving that value to anybody else. It's not about how much value you have on your own. It's about how much value you bring to the people around you. And if you are not willing to show up for a $50 interview at McDonald's, for God's sake, like, I have half a mind to drive down to Florida and hit them up myself. Just make that $50 and drive back. Not really, because my time is more valuable than that now, as I bring value to other people.